Created during one of the most isolating times in our country's history, the Exodus Ensemble, comprised of 13 members from throughout the United States, joined forces and moved to Santa Fe to dream and create. The ensemble has produced some of the most immersive experiences, changing the face of theater. Tonight we talk with Creative Director Gracie Meier about their origin story, repertory style, and upcoming performances. Thank you, Gracie, for coming down from Santa Fe to join us this
Thank you
evening.
for having me.
I'm glad to have you here. I learned about your group back in 2021, and we were still going through the bouts of COVID, so we weren't even doing interviews or anything at that time. So I kept you guys on the back burner. I knew there'd be a moment that I get to talk about Exodus. So you guys started in a really inspiring way. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the founding ensemble of the Exodus Ensemble, there's about 10 of us, give or take. We all met at the theater school at DePaul University over the course of like 4 or 5 different years, different classes. Mm-hmm. So we'd all worked with each other in different degrees, graduated, went out, started having really cool careers in TV and film and theaters all over the world, Netflix, HBO, Quibi, recipes Quibi. We had a lot of really cool, exciting prospects. And then, of course, the pandemic happened, everything shut down, and we just tried to wait it out for a long time. And then our artistic director, April, her partner, got a job at St. John's College, which brought them back to Santa Fe. She went here for her undergrad. And it was on that drive down that she realized, oh, my favorite actors are all out of work. I could get them in the same room. I could never do that before. And so she sent an elaborate email with a lot of pictures and a lot of different fonts and basically just said, I don't know where we're going to live. I don't know what it looks like, but do you want to move to Santa Fe, New Mexico and see if we like working with each other and see if we could create something? And 10 of us were just like, okay, great. And we just packed up all of our stuff and we moved in. There were about, 10 of us in 3 joint casitas. So I lived in the living room for a little bit there. A little 6-foot by 20-foot plot. But we spent 3 months in total quarantine, really just getting to know each other and working out of the house that we lived in, because it was at the time illegal for groups of 5, larger than 5, to be outside even in Santa Fe. So as a group of 9, 10, we were like, okay, we're making house shows, and then that really, that sort of created our entire genre, and the way that we work really came out of that necessity of having to be in our house and that being the only place we could afford to rehearse.
Well, having 10 personalities, how do you even begin to develop and create a show with 10 different minds? How did you go through the process?
That's a great question. A lot of the process is based in what's called composition. It's actually based on a dance technique that was created by Anne Bogart and Tina Landau called viewpoints. So we just make lots of tiny little compositions where different ensemble members get their chance at directing things, at acting in things. Maybe they're running tech on a particular composition. And so we just do that a couple hundred times based on the same source text. And that's how we create our shows. So it's a lot of like big puzzles and a lot of paint on the wall is sort of what we call it. And then we sort of narrow in from there. So there's always different moments for little ideas to just sort of come together and, oh, that was me and him did that, or, oh, I did that with somebody else, or that one was all me. And all of that just gets wrapped into the show. So it's a really cool collaborative process that becomes very non-hierarchical because of its sort of pursuit towards the show. It's like whatever's best for the show, that's what gets done.
Well, you developed quite a few shows. So can you tell us about the ones that you created over that time?
Yeah, absolutely. So our first project is called Ivanov. It's an adaptation of a Chekhov play of the same title. And that one is an 8-person audience. It's a roving adaptation. That was our first one that we created. Oh, wow. And so that one takes you through a house. You're in bedrooms, you're in bathrooms, you're confiding in these characters. They're confiding in you. It's incredibly conversational in the way that it works. And so by the end of it, you're incredibly attached to these characters and attached to your fellow audience members. It's a really special experience where they get to also just, become a character in and of themselves. That's our first piece. And then we have Bathsheba, which is our second piece, which is based on the David and Bathsheba story in the Bible. That one's really fun. The audience shows up in all white. The cast is in all white. You are actually let in blindfolded. So that one is super sensory heavy.
Oh, yeah.
And then it turns out you are actually implicated, and now you are inducted into this cult. And then stuff starts to happen, and you can't leave. And it's sort of our play on a psychological thriller slasher type moment. So that one's really fun as well. That one seats about like 25. We have one called Jason, which is an adaptation of Medea. It's our stab at the Greeks. And that one takes place in this sort of glittery, gritty Los Angeles music scene. You're surrounded in 360 degrees of television monitors and projectors for that one. So it's super media saturated. And in that one, the audience sort of serves as the Greek chorus. So you're shouting along with everybody else at certain moments in the show, which is really, really exciting for a lot of folks. We have Death Cookie, which is our collaboration with Sky Railway.
Yeah, that's what I would like.
Yeah, that's the silly one. I like that one a lot. That one's a murder mystery that takes place on a moving train. Very exciting, very heady, like cool science meets like almost slapstick comedy. So that one's a delight. We have Zero, which is based on The Adding Machine, which is this existential play, and it's very competitive. We have 4 different cast members essentially, and you get to play for those cast members, and everyone will die except for one person. So throughout the show, there are opportunities for you to win points in order to save your character. Okay, so I'm going to say something that I haven't said out loud yet, which is great. So we're premiering our next piece, which is Hamlet, which is our big stab at Shakespeare.
Wow.
So it's sort of been our white whale where we were terrified of it. And so I think that was all the more reason to try our hand at adapting it. So we're really excited about that. That'll open on May 8th.
Wonderful. And that answered my question of what you had coming up. So where can people learn more about the ensemble and what you have coming up?
Yeah, so we're all over the place. Best place to find us is on the internet, www.exodusensemble.com. I recommend signing up for our mailing list. We really try to keep a lot of dialogue and a lot of information coming to folks on the mailing list, so that's a great place to be. Social media, of course, at the Exodus Ensemble. We're a pretty rowdy Instagram for a company, so we have a lot of fun, and yeah, it's a good time. So we'd love to have more folks there.
Wonderful. Well, Gracie, thank you again for coming in tonight and talking about the ensemble, and really looking forward to what you have coming up.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll be back.